And a chairman's mark is a committee's chairman's proposed version of a bill. It's the starting point for committees to debate, amend, or even vote on. It's not a law, so don't, go thinking that it's a law just yet. It has to pass the committee, the House, the Senate, and potentially go through conference and be signed by the president. And we're just in the early stages still. So why does this matter to small business contractors right now if we're still in the early stages? And I'm going to tell you, it's just two reasons. First, the $1.141 trillion top line is a demand forecast signal. So defense spending at that level sustains the procurement pipeline across all the sectors: services, supplies, construction, IT, manufacturing, all of that. When appropriate committees start moving bills, smart contractors read that signal and position before the solicitations land. The second reason is Section 801. The chairman's mark includes a provision titled Ensuring Best Value in Procurement. This section codifies limits on LPTA, lowest price technically acceptable, and that's a source selection method that was previously restricted in prior NDAAs. Specifically, it builds on restrictions from the FY2017 NDAA and 2019 NDAA that were designed to prevent agencies from always defaulting to lowest price evaluation when higher quality performance matters more. So like I mentioned earlier, LPTA stands for lowest price technically acceptable. And it's a source selection approach where the government awards to the lowest price offer that meets the minimum technical requirements. It does not reward higher quality or better past performance. It's just the cheapest that passed the test. So best value trade-off evaluation does the opposite. It allows the government to pay more for a technically superior offer if the trade-off is justified. And that tension between these two approaches has been a major acquisition policy debate for decades now. So if the NDAA reinforces LPTA restrictions, that means agencies evaluate defense work. They have less room to default to the lowest price. For small businesses with strong technical solutions or past performance, this is a favorable environment. So start making sure your proposals are making the technical quality case and not just competing on price. If you're in government contracting and you constantly feel like you're the last to find out what's going on, I get it. There's a lot of noise out there, not a lot of clarity. That's literally why I built GovCon Ready in 30 on School. Every week, I put out a full acquisition intelligence brief: what changed, what didn't, and what you can actually do about it. We cover regulations, GAO decisions, market signals, opportunities, all of it, broken down so it actually makes sense. We go live every Tuesday, and you can ask me anything directly. It's free to join. The link's in the bio. Watch for the June 4th committee markup outcome. That tells us whether the acquisition provision made it into the House, the full House bill. OASIS Plus is the next item, and OASIS Plus is a GWAC, a government-wide acquisition contract, and it's a vehicle that allows federal agencies across the government to buy professional services without running their own full competition each time. If you hold an OASIS Plus contract, agencies can issue task orders to you directly under that vehicle. It is one of the most valuable vehicles in federal contracting for professional service firms. Here's what matters for small businesses this week. OASIS Plus, it moved to a continuous open on-ramp model in January of 2026. That means unlike traditional GWACs where you had one shot during an open period, OASIS Plus allows rolling applications. There are 6 contracts: the unrestricted pool, the 5 social economic set-asides, basically total small business set-aside, 8A women-owned small business, hub zone, and service disabled veteran-owned small business. And to qualify as a small business for OASIS Plus, you need a minimum average annual revenue of $500,000, and you need a score of at least 36 out of 50 points on the scorecard, which evaluates your past performance, domain experience, and certifications. Now, if you're new, OASIS Plus is not likely your immediate next step. It requires demonstrated past performance, but it should be your target eventually. Understand what the scorecard values, which are past contract values, domain experience certifications, and build towards that. The continuous on-ramp means the door is always open. build towards the threshold, and apply when you're ready. All right, now let's move on to these GAO decisions. The first one is Soft Tech Consulting. Now, what happened with this GAO case? SoftTech challenged an award under the CHESS ITAS 3S vehicle, the Computer Hardware Enterprise Software and Solutions IT contract. The Army made an award to another small business, but SoftTech, they protested the technical evaluation and also argued the agency should have amended the solicitation to address some change requirements. GAO ruling was basically the solicitation amendment challenge was dismissed as untimely. The technical evaluation challenge was denied on the merits. The timeliness lesson here is critical. When an agency takes a corrective action, like reopening a competition or revisiting or revising an evaluation, that corrective action does not reset the clock on pre-existing protest grounds. If you had grounds to challenge the solicitation before the corrective action, those grounds need to be raised before the corrective action and not afterwards. Waiting to see how the corrective action plays out and then raising pre-existing issues is basically too late. So review your requirements, the evaluation criteria, the past performance expectations before the closing date. If you see a solicitation defect, a term that disadvantages your firm or that seems improper, you must raise it before proposals are due. So I want to say that again. So if you see a solicitation defect, like a term that disadvantages your firm or that seems improper, you must raise it before proposals are due. You can't hold it to reserve it for a protest if you lose. All right, the next GAO case is Insight Public Sector. And what happened with this one is SEWP VI required offers to submit relevant experience projects demonstrating past performance. One of Insight's projects listed the contract value as NA with no contract number, so NASA couldn't verify whether the project met the $30 million minimum threshold or not. So NASA just eliminated their proposal. And GAO ruling was to deny the protest because NASA reasonably eliminated the proposal. Agencies are not required to seek clarification when a proposal is facially deficient. So if it's deficient on the face of the proposal, especially when the criteria is a pass or fail. So this mistake leaves a dollar value field as NA or leaving a contract number blank on a GWAC or IDIQ proposal if the solicitation has a minimum dollar threshold for qualifying experience, whether it's $30 million in this case or whatever, and you submit your project and you don't have any verifiable information that meets that threshold, the agency has the right to eliminate your proposal without asking you to fix it. On a pass or fail item, complete every required field with verifiable information, dollar values, contract numbers, periods of performance, agency names, etc. All of that. These are not suggestions, they are required. Agencies do not have to give you a second chance on a facially deficient response. If you're preparing for a past performance section on any proposal, especially for a GWAC on-ramp, think of it like a job application, whether you got to verify everything. Use real contract numbers, actual dollar values from FPS and SAM. Confirm that everything meets any stated minimums. Do not estimate or approximate. Verify precision or verifiable precision is the standard. The next GAO case is strategic communication. And what happened with strategic communication listed as a reference project, or they listed a reference project at $300 million in its proposal, but NASA verified that information through FPDS and SAMS, and basically SAMS showed that the cited order was actually worth approximately $5 million. So they basically got eliminated. And after elimination, strategic communication tried to explain that its proposal was describing the total contract value of a larger program and not just that individual order that they had. NASA rejected that explanation as an improper post-elimination proposal revision. So they didn't accept them. So they protested, and GAO basically denied that protest. NASA's elimination was reasonable. Strategic communication cannot revise its proposal after the fact to retroactively explain a figure that contradicted available government data. If your past performance project involved a small task order under a larger contract and you want to reference your experience, describe it precisely. State the value of your specific task order, not the total program value or the contract ceiling. It has to be your order. If the government database shows your actual performance at $5 million and your proposal claims $250 million, you'll be eliminated and you won't be able to explain your way back into the competition. Now, these first two SEWP VI decisions together send a very clear message. NASA is enforcing the minimum requirements at a high standard. Precision on past performance references are not optional on these vehicles. Okay, the next GAO case was Metro Accounting and Professional Services. So what happened with this case? Metro price proposal failed to justify its subcontractor labor rate, their labor rate sources, and did not fully address how indirect rates were treated in the pricing buildup. The agency issued an exchange notice explaining essentially that a formal clarification request. They asked Metro to address the pricing gap. Metro response still didn't cure the deficiencies, so the Air Force just eliminated them from the proposal. GAO rule with the protest was denied. The agencies reasonably found that Metro's pricing proposal remained unsupported, even after clarification opportunities were given by the Air Force. Now, when an agency sends you a clarification request on pricing, you got to answer it completely. Every item they ask about, the interchange notice is your one formal opportunity to fix your pricing gap. So if your response does not fully address what they're asking for, you're more than likely going to be eliminated. So make sure all your pricing is fully supported, explained, and defensible. This holds true whether you have subcontractors or not. So no matter what, make sure you can justify all of your pricing. That's the brief for this week. If you found this useful, subscribe. I do this every week. And if you want the full brief, the live session, and the ability to ask me questions directly, come join us inside GovCon Ready in 30 on School. The link is in the description. I'll see you next week.